Pantsing was and remains the most fun I've ever had writing a novel. I love the spontaneity of it. Can't I have spontaneity and structure? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am super excited to be taking part in Wordstock again, the authortube seminar series put together by Robert Jones, aka The Story Detective. When Robert told me the topic for this month's seminar was going to be story structure, I was thrilled. Because I love plotting, right? Because I'm a hardcore outliner and I think every writer should be an outliner too. No, because I'm a plotter who wants to be a pantser. When I decided to try writing a novel for the first time in 2007, of course, the first writing craft book I read was On Writing by Stephen King. I loved it. I found it hugely motivational and inspirational, except for this one part. The part where he says,
"Plot is, I think, the good reader's last resort and the dullard's first choice. The story which results from it is apt to feel artificial and labored."
Hello, 911. I've been personally attacked by the author of Misery. Look, when I decided to write a book for the first time, I had zero writing experience outside of just the essays that I wrote for school. I felt like I needed an outline, a plot, to guide me through the first draft process, otherwise I would never reach the end. The idea of opening a document and just going for it wasn't exciting, it was paralyzing. And I know for some authors, it's completely the other way around. I also admit that at the time, I wasn't exactly sure what King was saying. Did he mean stories shouldn't have a plot? Aren't books supposed to have a plot? At some point, and I admit I don't remember when this happened or what caused this grand revelation, but I realized that structure and plot aren't the same thing. Again, I was new to this whole creative writing thing and I just didn't know. Plot comes from structure. Structure is to story what DNA is to humans. We've all got it, and it makes us unique. Just like every story will have its own unique plot that is a result of structure. And I think this is why you'll never find one universally beloved plotting method. I love books like Save the Cat Writes a Novel, Superstructure, Take Off Your Pants, winner for best title, The Snowflake Method, Truby's Anatomy of a Story, all of those. I've tried so many different methods and I found that nothing works consistently for me on every single book because every single story is different and I'm going to find their plots in different ways. All of those craft books I mentioned use their own language to talk about story structure, and their slightly different perspectives or explanations might unlock ideas for some writers but not others, on some books, but not others. The first time I tried pantsing a novel, I went off on a million tangents and I ended up with a really fun book that literally did not have a plot. I haven't tried pantsing since then because that book that I pantsed, I think it's damaged beyond repair. I wrote it in 2014 and I reread it for the first time just a few months ago. And in a lot of ways, I still feel like it was some of the most creative writing I've ever done. But I have absolutely no idea how to fix it or give it a plot, which is why it's languishing in a folder on my desktop, probably for all time. And that was when I really became an outliner because I didn't want that to happen again. And I truly do enjoy outlining, and my outlines are long and detailed. Also, as a full-time author, a lot of the books I write are IP projects or ghostwriting, and those require outlines to show my clients or my editors before I actually write the draft. So outlining is part of the job. But I'll be honest, sometimes after writing that kind of outline, I am creatively spent on that story. I don't want to write that draft anymore, at least not before taking a really long break from it, because I feel like I already did. I wrote the story. Don't make me write it again, but longer. In the very beginning, I was much more of a plot-driven writer. I was entirely focused on the premise and plot twists because I thought that was how you hooked a reader. And I loved coming up with those big reveals. The result was that the first draft that I ever finished was actually a pretty well-plotted story with like no real character arcs, no growth. The characters did what the plot dictated they do. You might say that story felt artificial and labored. Damn you, Stephen. Characters are the real hook. Characters are why readers read. And I'm a reader. A novel might have the coolest premise on the planet, but if I don't find the protagonist compelling, then I'm not going along for the ride. So here is what has helped me when I'm starting a new novel and I'm trying to figure out plot and structure. Forget about plot and structure for now, and focus on your protagonist first, or protagonists if you're writing a multi-POV novel, and figure out how you want them to change. Because if you can find that transformation, that journey to transformation, if you know where you're taking your main character emotionally, what they need to learn, how they need to grow, what beliefs they hold that need to be challenged or even destroyed, then you can find a plot organically, whether you're outlining or pantsing. I think authors like Stephen King are successful discovery writers or pantsers who don't end up with first drafts that entirely lack plot because they instinctively follow structure as they write. They discover their plot as part of the first draft process. Or maybe a better way to put it is they know their characters and their flaws. They put those flawed characters into a crazy situation and turn them loose, and their characters make the plot happen. And I won't lie, I want to find a way to be like that. Pantsing was and remains the most fun I've ever had writing a novel. I love the spontaneity of it. Can't I have spontaneity and structure? I'm a teacher. Surely I can teach myself how to pants with structure? I've actually been experimenting with ways to do this. I've been truly nerding out and rereading some of my favorite writing craft books on structure and taking notes on what has worked for me in what novels and what doesn't work for me or where I find the methods lacking. And I'm looking for a way to create my own sort of structure guide that will allow me to take a premise that I love and, after brainstorming for a little bit and letting the idea take shape, just start drafting and be spontaneous and see where the characters go and what happens along the way. This is something I've been more focused on trying to teach in my creative writing workshops lately. And actually, in a few days, I'm launching a free online course about creating dynamic characters who transform. So make sure you're subscribed and you hit that notification bell so you know when that video announcement goes up on Monday. I would love to hear your thoughts about story structure in the comments, especially if you're one of those magical pantsers who ends up with a decent plot in your first draft. Please share your wisdom with me. Thanks again to The Story Detective for organizing Wordstock every month. And guys, don't forget to check out all of the other AuthorTube videos on the playlist for more insights into story structure. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week.